This episode of Family Trips is brought to you by Nissan. Adventure calls in the first ever Nissan Rogue Rock Creek. Learn more at nissanusa.com.
Here we go.
Hi, Pashi.
Hi, Sufi.
I want to start by saying I feel as though I've been done dirty.
Done dirty?
A lot of people don't know that this is also available to watch on YouTube. And there's, the only video element is really that you can see us while we're talking to our guests.
Right.
I forget which episode. Do you remember which episode it was that I got busted for drinking my smoothie? I guess it must have been listener episode.
Listener episode, yeah.
So because it was just listeners who had sent in our things, we weren't talking to a celeb. I felt like it was a safe place where I could drink my smoothie free of judgment.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, you pointed out that I drink my smoothie weird.
Right. It looked like it was either very thick or you just sort
of...
It
was.
Yeah. Well, you let half your face go totally slack in order to pull on that straw to get some of that sweet smoothie goodness.
So whatever, you burned me on it, and I'm thinking to myself at the time, whatever. It's not like people are going to go back and watch. If you're watching on YouTube, you wouldn't go back. But then Sam, our producer, super cuts all my, and it does. I look like an idiot. And so, welcome everybody. If you want to, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch any episode, but by all means, go back and watch the listener episode where I feel like ganged up upon.
Yeah, it's, I want to say it's like minute 37 or minute 47.
We don't have to give him the time code, my God.
I will say, to your credit, it was shown to me before it was added into the episode, and I was like, ooh, I think we got to show him. But
that's a credit to you.
I thought it was really going to show whether or not comedy was more important to you than ego. And I like that you put comedy ahead of ego.
Yeah.
So
if it was comedy v vanity, comedy won, because it's a huge hit to my vanity. So anyway, I have enlisted in Straw University.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what else it's called? Do you know what else it's called, Josh?
Suck school?
That's better than what I'm going to say.
What were you going to say?
Strawlage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's the difference. That's where I'm a dad and you're not. That I went
Right.
for the shitty pun and you had the funnier one.
Yeah.
Sucks.
How are things going over at Suck School?
It's not great. I mean, I don't want to. There's an on the nose review of it that I'm not going to say, but let's just say it's bad. Stinks.
Yeah, I believe it.
A couple things have happened since the last time we've talked. You were on the show. We did our annual Thanksgiving show. 11th time, Mom, Dad, you.
Yeah.
Mackenzie and her mom in the audience. I felt like it was one of the best.
Yeah, it was great. People, a lot of comments sort of among the staff and some longtime fans and viewers, good friends of ours, say that Mom has really sort of come into her own.
Yeah.
She's settled in. She's in the pocket.
Feeling herself.
Feeling herself. Mackenzie's mother, Linda, had a moment that she made the most of that I thought was really great. It was just a delight.
It helped. I mean, it always helps when we have big things to talk about that are not repetitive. And obviously this year, the highlight was your wedding. And so it was nice to tell stories about the wedding. We did a little sketch called At This Point in the Broadcast. We showed the turkeys, which are my children and my niece. That was a lot of fun. And all in all, it was a good time. Also, can I say something that I really enjoyed? It was very nice to have the three of you there for corrections.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched it back because I enjoyed this last corrections, and I sometimes like to watch them back, and it's very fun to hear your very unique and specific laughs.
Yeah. We shot that on Thanksgiving proper. I drove up to Western Massachusetts with Mackenzie and her mom. And the next night, we had sort of a delayed Thanksgiving at her dad's house with, her brother, sister, their kids. And it was great. It was just sort of a bonus Thanksgiving. But in the lead up to that, people got together to sort of watch Mackenzie's bit on the show.
Sure.
And I was reading in the other room. I'm not a huge fan of watching us on the show. It just doesn't do it for me.
I agree.
Yeah, mom and dad love it. That's fine. They can have it. So I was in the next room, and there was you had one comment where I could hear sort of from the other room a big dumb laugh out of me, then big dumb laugh out of mom, and big dumb laugh out of dad, like just these big guffaws, which if anyone ever thinks, are they real? Are they honest? They 100% are. That's just how we do it, I guess.
That was in the body of the interviews, the big dumb laugh? Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
I will say it has, and again, no judgment. I just feel like maybe you and I have performer anxiety in a different way, and we don't like to watch ourselves back. Would you say that might be what it is?
Yeah, I also sort of don't want to be like patted on the back for doing a good job as a guest on your show, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think mom and dad really like it, and I love that they like it, but there was always, which has stopped, which I love. They can appreciate now that they can go watch it on their own and not
whenever you want. Yeah.
First thing Friday morning, say, when are we going to watch the show back?
Right.
Because for me, it's not important for me to watch it with them because I did it with them.
Right.
You know what
Same.
I mean? We've already, yeah. And it's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
We did watch something over Thanksgiving that was real important.
Yeah. This is Star Wars, yeah?
We watched Star Wars. Let me just say, I hate talking about Star Wars with kids because you're like, we watched the first Star Wars. And they're like, the first of the first one or the fourth one? You know what I mean? Like, it's it's the worst. We watched Star Wars. And by the way, Star Wars means Star Wars. And you can say A New Hope if you're the worst. But also, we watched Star Wars. Kids had never seen Star Wars. It was great. Watched it with mom and dad. Way too many questions, which of course makes sense. And I wonder if, because I watched it in a theater the first time, if mom and dad were spared from the questions.
Probably.
Because we were in a movie theater. I think so too.
You'll hear, sometimes if you go to a movie that kids are in the theater, you'll hear kids asking little questions here and there. But I feel like the sound level, and also, not being in your own house, makes kids question whether or not, to a degree, can I be talking in here? And there's a terrible problem happening with today's kids, which is this. From word of mouth, they know that Darth Vader is Luke's dad. Ugh.
That's just gotten back to them.
They've also, I hear the kids are ruining the crying game.
Yeah. Crying game. Don't even bother. So, but here's the thing. It's not just that the surprise is ruined, which is bad enough. They're so confused. The amount of questions about Darth Vader being Luke's dad, which is, why don't they live together? If he's just father, like just logistical questions where the amount I want to say, you don't need to know. You're not supposed to know.
Yeah.
And so that really stinks.
Yeah.
Also, so many questions. Axel, needless to say, the most questions. There's also the very first scene of Star Wars when, Darth Vader's attacking the ship that Princess Leia's on.
Yeah.
And it's just, you see R2 and C-3PO are going down the hallway, and behind them is a silver C-3PO.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's an explosion, and that C-3PO just sort of falls into a hallway, and you never see it again.
Right.
Literally the only thing Axel wanted to talk about the whole movie. Where was the silver C-3PO? Is he in the next movie? I'm like, you're never going to see him again. You're never going to see him again. I'm so mad that that's what you're locked in on. Yeah. And then, end of the movie, you maybe remember, they all get medals. There's like a medal ceremony.
Yeah.
And Ash hates it because he hates ceremony. Ash hates anything where you're supposed to feel emotion.
Uh-huh.
By the way, I had fully my voice cracked when Han came back and rescued Luke. Then it cuts to Leia, who has a different haircut at the end. And, she's putting her medals on. And Axel goes, who's that? And I'm like, Jesus Christ. But so much fun. We also we had one of the best, obviously I'm only counting Thanksgivings without you, Pashi.
Sure.
But as far as Thanksgivings without you, maybe the best one ever.
I heard it was great.
Giant dance party, giant conga
fun.
line. Conga line around the whole house. Everybody was
Uh-huh.
in a great mood. Incredible
Great.
food. How was yours?
It was great. Yeah.
Right.
Really nice. And then Mackenzie's hometown does this thing called Moonlight Magic, where the whole town
Oh, right. Yeah, you talked about
is sort
it.
of like there are vendors and all the shops are open and there's a parade. Santa Claus, not to brag, but Santa Claus was there with Mrs. Claus, so I got to see
Great.
them.
Wonderful.
Yeah. It was just a really lovely night. And it started to snow like really heavily in the middle of Moonlight Magic, which was magic.
Friends of ours host an annual soccer game, and they have a proper, on their farm, they have a proper soccer field like cut out. Like the dream if you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like a little soccer field, 2 nets.
Okay, I was going
A
to say
fence.
full-size soccer field.
No, but like a fence around it too, so like the ball can't, like when a kid kicks it too far. Also, grass in the middle cut, long grass on the outside, so also when the ball hits the out of bounds, it just kind of stops.
Slows down, yeah.
And really fun, parents and kids. And, Ash is incredibly fit, but much like his dad, he's incredibly clumsy.
Yeah.
Me and that kid together, 4 left feet. But he was really putting the effort in, a very workmanlike performance. And then late in the game, and again, this isn't, mostly there were goals being scored. I'm not sitting here being like, final score was like 30 to 100. So anyway, Ash scores a goal and I'm so proud of him. And he's running back and he's got this like big smile on his face. And I'm like, way to go, buddy. And I give him a high five. And right before he high fives me, he literally trips and falls down. I'm just like, oh boy. There's no clean wins.
Yeah.
No clean wins with this guy.
Well, you probably put your hand up too high and it took his eyes off the ground. And
I asked him to do a second thing other than just running. So it was a really nice Thanksgiving.
Great. Yeah. Excellent. On to the next.
On to the next. And again, go over to our YouTube. Family Trips with the Meyers Brothers. Needless to say, we use the same title over at YouTube. That was my idea.
Yeah.
And now Sam's sending the time code 4022. Go to 4022. But you know what? If you're gonna shame me, at least click like and subscribe, or like it or subscribe it. I don't know.
Yeah. It's also 4002. It's 2 seconds after the 40-minute mark.
Oh, I see. I was trying to get him. Or go to 4032 and
some good stuff there too.
There's a lot of good stuff there. All right, buddy. We're talking to our friend Fortune Feimster. She's a delight. Everybody who's listening is a delight. So is Jeff Tweedy. Come and listen.
Family Trips with the Meyers Brothers. Family Trips with the Meyers Brothers. Here we go.
Yes. Hi, Fortune.
What's up?
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you guys?
We're wonderful. And again, I say it every time it's the case. I love talking to a fellow podcaster. Your gear is top notch. You look great. Lighting's good.
I don't even think I have headphones, and I do.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's like you're a drummer for a rock band.
That's right.
Yes. I'm excited to talk to you, Fortune, because you are youngest of 3, 2 older brothers.
Mm-hmm.
That's my daughter's life, because we had 2 boys and then we had our third. And I feel like she's in for a thrilling ride. How was life for you with 2 older brothers?
This is taking me back, just being with the both of you. It feels similar to this. She's going to get tough skin. That's for sure.
She already kind of does.
Because being the youngest with 2 boys, you're just like, you're beat up all the time. You're tested, you're picked on, and you're never the one deciding where to go eat. You're never the one deciding what sport we play. You're just tagging along.
How much older were they?
They are my middle brother Jay is 3 years older than me, and then Price, the oldest, is 3 years older than him.
Okay, gotcha.
And they say that girls mature faster. Did you feel that you were more mature than your brothers when you were at a very young age?
No, I definitely gave them the middle finger a lot.
Okay.
Because that was my only comeback. It was when my mom wasn't looking, I would give them the bird and I'd be like, "Mom, Price just gave me the bird." And she's like, "Price." And I'm like, "Suck it." So my maturity level did not come for a bit.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
They were big into wrestling, so the WWE or whatever. And so it was a lot of like they were Macho Man and Ric Flair, and I just was getting pummeled.
And so you guys grew up in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember going on trips with your family? Were you a road trip family? Were you?
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of money because my mom was a teacher and my dad just, working class guy. And there's, especially in summer times, it was a little bit tighter, but my mom wanted us to have those experiences. So our family trip would be to drive to Holden Beach. It's a little beach in North Carolina, and we'd rent this there'd be all these gorgeous houses on the beach, and we'd be in the one shack, that has been swept away by hurricanes 20 years ago. But it just was, it was so great to just do something. I didn't necessarily love being with my family, but I loved being on the beach, just the wind in my hair.
Was there a little town close by? Could you sort of was there a boardwalk, or what's the vibe?
There was a boardwalk, and the big thing to do in town was one of those water slide parks. I mean, we were so about that. There was an ice cream parlor with the blue ice cream that turned your whole face blue. But yeah, I was determined to make sure my brothers did not have fun whenever possible. That was my way of getting back at them.
How would you ruin the fun?
We were at the boardwalk, and there's arcade games, and my dad gave us money to, I think, buy a hot dog or something, and there was change left over. And my one brother was like, "Oh, we're going to play arcade games." And I'm like, "This is Dad's money, and we have to give him the change back." so I stole the money from my brother, and I put it in my jams. Those were long shorts. Put them in my jams. There was a lot of change, and my brother started chasing me. So I ran down the beach, which running was not my forte. And I'm out of breath. I'm running. I finally get to the house, and all of the money had fallen through the hole in the pocket of my jams.
Jams were known for their poorly made pocket linings.
Yeah. So I guess I wasn't mature, but I thought I was responsible.
Yeah, no, that's an act of responsibility.
When you said you didn't like hanging with your family, is it more because you had a very independent streak as a kid and you just sort of felt like, I want to be on my own, doing my own thing?
Yeah, I think it was because being the youngest, no one was ever pumped to hang out with me either. So I just was always kind of doing my own thing, and I was forced to hang out with one of my parents. And, that's no fun. I would try to make friends with other kids on the beach, but my brothers were always the life of the party, big group of guy friends, and they were all doing their thing. So I was stuck with my dad, who was going through a midlife crisis with a mustache and a gold chain. Listen to MC Hammer. I'm like, what's happening?
Also, by the way, I feel like when you're going through a midlife crisis, you don't want to be hanging out with your youngest of three.
No.
I feel like that's sort of a real reminder of where you are.
Yeah, I knew something was up because neither of my parents were big drinkers, and suddenly my dad's coming out of a hotel bar with a pitcher of Long Island iced tea. What's happening?
How old are you when you take a vacation like this, when you headed out to the beach?
Those vacations started, I think, from 6 on. We did them until I was about 12. Our last big trip that the biggest trip we took as a family before my parents divorced, was a trip to Disney World. Which was
got it. So you got the big one in. And I think by the way, I think a lot of parents divorce right after that trip.
Oh, for sure. Because
they check that box. And then
there was also 5 of us squeezed into a car, and it's not comfortable. Nobody's happy. And a vacation just forced my parents to be around each other. And they're like, we don't want this either. So we're all like, what are we doing here? We're just
Could you?
spending money we
Was
don't
it a
have.
palpable tension in the car? Do you remember? Like
Oh,
when you
yeah.
think back, yeah.
Yeah, because when we did that Disney World trip, my dad insisted on renting a convertible. Because he's
Okay.
like, we're in Florida, we're gonna
Yeah.
get a convertible, and that's like the tiniest car. So you're talking about 5 very large people
Right.
squeezing this car, and my brothers would like burp in my face, and and there was no personal space. It was too much. It's not like these days where every family has like, 8 seats in an SUV.
Yeah. Yeah. Pilot seats, cup holders,
Yeah.
your own
Their own
screens.
TVs.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Were you all in one hotel room on a trip like that? Would you
Oh,
pile
yeah.
in? Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got that. We're calling the motel. We need a roll-in bed, please.
Was that you? Were you on the rollaway?
I think one of my brothers were, because they were like a bigger person and I could squeeze into a bed better
Yeah.
with my
that's
mom
so
or
funny.
something. It was miserable.
It is so funny, like when the hotel gets a call like that, because they're like,
Mhm.
you should have got a different room. You
Yeah.
have too many people.
Too many people, and we're all eating the hotel breakfast well beyond what's allotted. Trying to get whatever we could for free. I still don't know how I think my grandmother helped pay for that Disney World trip, but we went over Christmas, and my mom decided she was going to bring all of our Christmas presents to Disney World, and we were going to have Christmas in this motel.
Oh,
So,
brother.
My mom, this was before, weather apps where you could like look it up and be like, it's hot in Florida. I know it's December, but it's hot.
Right.
And so we had all these winter clothes, and she that year gave me a faux fur.
Oh,
If
great.
you want to know what path my mom was trying to get me to go down.
You're not wearing it today, I'll
I
notice.
wore this faux fur to Disney World, and it was about 101 degrees.
I mean, to be honest, like she might have pushed you the other way. Like you were like, this is a disaster.
I think so. It's like, who wants to do this? Every picture is us with just red faces and like pouring sweat in our winter clothes in Florida.
How old is, so that you said that was around 12?
I was around 12. I think that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
Is it true that when you were
folks.
12, your mother did something very unique for your brother's 18th birthday?
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Would you please let us know, because it's really delightful. And it is, I will say, like, it's very almost in line with, like, I'll get my daughter faux fur
Mm-hmm.
and I will get this for my son.
Yeah, she was very into stereotypes.
Her hobby was stereotypes.
I want to enforce the patriarchy upon my son. So my family loved to eat at Hooters
Right.
because this was, the 80s and 90s where you couldn't see boobs on your phone yet. And
Right.
it's very scandalous, but we didn't care. Like, you could get tons of chicken wings for cheap, and being a family that liked to eat and didn't have money, it was like our place. I didn't even, as a young, unknowing lesbian, realize what was happening around me. I was focused on these chicken wings. So when my brother turned 18, she had probably the greatest birthday party that an 18-year-old in the 90s could have in their entire life. She hired 2 Hooters waitresses to come to our house. I didn't know you could just have them do house parties. They show up with buckets of chicken wings and hula hoops, and she had all of this for him. These Hooters waitresses are hula hooping in our backyard. All these 18-year-old boys, their heads are exploding with have never seen women scantily clad like this in person. And she even made the invitation for the party in an orange postcard, and it had a hand-drawn owl on it, and it said, "This party will be a hoot."
Wow. By the way, I feel like other parents wouldn't necessarily know what that was alluding to.
Yeah. I just
That's
remember
amazing.
shoving chicken wings down my throat and didn't. And I think I also hula hooped with the Hooters waitresses, and all the guys were like, "No, we don't want this."
I was walking down the street recently, and there's this young family, or they've got a young kid that I know, and they were like, "Oh, it's Jackson's birthday." I was like, "Oh, cool, Jackson. What are you doing for your birthday?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm gonna go where you get chicken wings on a frisbee." And I was like, "Where do you get chicken wings on a frisbee?" And the mom was like, "Hooters."
Yeah,
And
kids
I didn't
meal.
know. Yeah. And what a great way to like have kids be psyched. Like, yeah, man, you get chicken wings on a frisbee, and then I get to keep that frisbee.
It is
Yeah.
a great plate when you think about it.
Yeah,
I
perfect
mean,
plate.
Yeah, that's
The
a
plate you play
that's
with.
the
You
Disney
actually get to
World
play.
for kids.
Or a different kind of kid. That's
a
their
different kind
Disney
of
World.
kid. Yeah.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors. This episode of Family Trips is brought to you by Nissan. It's time to fuel your inner adventurer in the award-winning Nissan Rogue Rock Creek.
Hey, Seth,
Yeah.
tell me about your inner adventure. Are you a rocky trails guy or more of a snow roads bird?
I'm a snow roads bird. Like to go up my snow roads, maybe pull over at one point, pop off a couple snow angels back in the car, keep on rocking.
Yeah, I was going to say your snow angels are some of the nicest snow angels I've
Yeah.
ever seen.
They look as though an angel fell from heaven and just splatted into the snow.
Yeah, one thing I will
Yeah.
say, a note on snow angels,
Yeah.
you don't have to do them face down.
What? This is going to be a game changer. What about you, Posh? Rocky trails or snow roads bird?
Well, I mean, I'm a bit of both. I do love when you're in a vehicle that can handle some rocky terrain. I like driving slow and feeling a big old tire sort of creep over a rock and sort of waggle you back and forth. And that's the kind of feeling that you can get with some confidence in the Nissan Rogue Rock Creek.
And I would say a lack of confidence in the car we drove in high school, which was a Renault Le Car. And if it was even a little bit rainy, you wouldn't go outside.
Whatever kind of adventurer you are, the Nissan Rogue Rock Creek is ready for you. Thanks to its intelligent around view monitoring with off-road mode, the Rogue Rock Creek helps brave adventurers like you and also Seth to navigate around narrow obstacles in tough terrain. So thanks again to Nissan for sponsoring this episode of Family Trips. Adventure calls in the first ever Nissan Rogue Rock Creek. Learn more at nissanusa.com.
Intelligent around view monitor cannot eliminate blind spots. It may not detect every object. Drivers should always turn and check surroundings before driving. See owner's manual for safety information. Support for Family Trips comes from Airbnb. Hi, Pashi.
Hi, Sufi. Airbnbs are exceptional. We've stayed in Airbnbs in Pittsburgh with the family, but also at my wedding, I know we've mentioned that it was at a hotel, but at the same time, we couldn't have everyone stay there, but there were all these fabulous Airbnbs in the area. And one thing that just warmed my heart to no end is I had a group of friends from New Hampshire, childhood friends, who came, and they all stayed in one Airbnb, and I was getting pictures throughout the weekend texted to me of them getting ready, of my friend Randy Suazo and his West High half shirt, which is just a classic thing in our childhood and from our youth. And to think that my marriage got that group of people to stay together for a weekend in an Airbnb, something they probably would never have done otherwise, just made me so happy, even though I never went there. And I know that they had just the best time. And that's the kind of experience you won't get if you're not in an Airbnb, because you get to have your meals together. You get to get up and you get to have your coffee together. You get to sit around in a living room together. And it was really special. And even as someone who wasn't there, it is one of my favorite things about my wedding.
Well, that's so lovely to hear. Book
Yeah.
your next awesome trip today at Airbnb.com.
Here we go.
So, do you? So I know you lived after college. You lived in Spain for a year.
I did, yeah.
Had you been to Europe before then?
No, I kind of got bit by the bug, as they say, the travel bug. When I got to college, I went to this small women's college in Raleigh, North Carolina. I had never been out of the country. You know, like I said, my biggest trip was Disney World. And there was a professor there of anthropology who was the most fascinating person I've ever met in my life. And she takes this trip to Mexico every summer where she takes students for like 2 weeks and they study the Mayan ruins and go all over the jungle of Mexico and Guatemala and study lemurs. It's like things that I've never heard of, things that were blowing my mind. And I raised all this money, like working all these different jobs to take that trip. And it just opened my mind because I'm from a town of 8,000 people. And I was like, I had no idea what was beyond this town of 8,000 people. And that just made me really want to see what else was out there. So when I graduated college, I just had it in my head. I was going to move to Spain, live there for a year, learn Spanish, travel in Europe. And I had no money. I graduated with $50 in my little bank account. And I got like 8 jobs that summer. I worked from sun up to sundown. And by the end of the summer, I had $7,000, which to me could have meant $1 million. And
you almost considered just retiring at that point.
yeah, I was like, I've made it. I'm going to Spain, baby. And this was back when you could get a one-way ticket to Spain, and everyone was like, cool. And I just got a one-way ticket to Spain. No one cared. I didn't apply. I think I did it all wrong. I would travel to like get my passport stamped every like 3 months and then come back. So I was there for just shy of a year. I had to come home like a month early because I ran out of money. Turns out I couldn't retire.
How much Spanish did you have before you went over there?
Un poco.
But it stayed with you. Yeah.
My Spanish was not great before I went, and it was slightly better when I left. It was an amazing experience. I did learn a decent amount of Spanish, but I learned that Spanish, like another language, learning another language was not my forte. And they speak so fast. And I was in Sevilla, Spain, and everything's like, and a lot of hand motions and a lot of the tongue is like, zumo de piña, gracias, de nada. I'm just like, what's happening?
Why did you pick Sevilla?
Because another professor at my college lived there part-time, and she's like, it's a beautiful city. You can live with my mother until you get on your feet. Yeah. So I rented a little tiny room from her mom, this little old Spanish lady who tried to teach me how to be a good wife to my future husband. I was like, have you been talking to my mom? So I lived with her for the first 2 months, and it was interesting. She was this cute little lady with this curly hair, and I came home to her house one night, and she was bald, totally bald, with one sprig of hair popping out. And I was just like, oh, okay. And she's like, she said, stress. And I would go, oh, you lost your hair because of stress. She goes, sí. And I'm like, okay. And we just watched telenovelas together.
Just like it helps the stress go away.
I got a haircut like weeks later, and I didn't know the difference between trim and cut in Spanish. So I said, I need a haircut. And the person like cut all my hair off. Like it was very, very short. I came home. I was horrified, so upset. I figured the one person who was going to understand my plight is my roommate. And she looked at me and she goes, "Qué raro," which I then looked up in my Spanish book, and it means how weird.
So she stresses down to a sprig, and she can still call you out for being weird.
Yeah.
That's really funny. And so then, 2 months with her, and then you get your own place somewhere else?
I got my own place. A friend of a friend said that they knew someone who had an apartment who would rent it to me for cheap, 300 euros a month. That doesn't even seem possible now. And so I lived in this little apartment for the rest of the time, and I would go to I would go to a school to learn Spanish. I got a job tutoring some kids in English, and then every 3 months I would buy a URL pass and travel around. Like I'd pick like 4 countries and travel around those areas, staying in like hostels and.
I'm very impressed. Josh and I both we got jobs and we lived in Amsterdam right after school. And I feel like I
Yeah.
did not do that travel. To be so central and not have Eurailed.
Mhm.
Were you the kind of person that would meet people on your travels?
Yeah, from that language school I went to, I couldn't believe how open Europeans were, at least at this time. This was 2002. And I would meet them, I would be in a class with them for like a week. And then they would go back to their country and they would be like, yeah, if you ever are going through, Frankfurt, or if you're ever in Switzerland, let me know and you can stay with me. And I'm like, really? And they were like, yeah. So I stayed in all these random people's places that I barely knew, but everybody was just so cool. Like, yeah, if you want to stay, stay. I was like,
So
all right.
if the hypothetical, or not hypothetical, let's say Frankfurt, right? So you go to Frankfurt, somebody you've only known for a week.
Yeah.
And how many days would you stay with them?
I didn't overdo it. It would be like
Yeah.
two max, and then I'd
And would
be
would they take it upon themselves to be like, hey, let me show you Frankfurt since you're here?
Yeah, a lot of them would show me around, or show me the sights. One guy, in Berlin, was like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "Sure." He showed me some like videos of Borat, and and then I was on my own.
He's like, you can only get these here.
This was before Borat had gone international. I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah. That is
so
actually
it's just
pretty cool. I mean, before Borat went international, it'd be worth going to Berlin to see it. I
Yeah.
will say. Yeah.
It was when his Ali G character was all the rage in Europe.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
So I was in the know,
Yeah. What was your favorite stop on any of your travels? Any of those Eurail swings?
I did love the Netherlands, where you guys were.
Yeah.
Was one of the most beautiful areas, like Belgium, all those like really cute towns in Belgium I loved, and just traveling around. I didn't love The Hague. I thought that was
It's so
Yeah.
funny. My
boring.
wife, she did a semester where she was in law school working at the International Criminal Court in The Hague.
Yeah.
And I remember the school said like, "Hey, this is where you're going to stay for the summer." And we used it as a reason for us to go to Amsterdam, and then we went
Yeah.
down, and it was just where they had her staying was terrible. And I feel like we kind of found one of those apartments like you probably found in Sevilla. Like it was a 4th-floor walk up, and we met this family that was renting it out, and I still, and I know like this window is closed. The idea of like just spending like 9 months in Europe living in a weird attic apartment where like you have a tiny window and just a stack of books.
Yeah.
And maybe it's that I have kids, but I'm like, that's what I would like.
I
Just
know
a
it
weird
sounds
attic apartment where I have a tiny view of a church.
exact, and you hear church bells.
Yeah.
It is very romantic in theory. I could never do what I did now. Like
Right.
and I don't have kids.
But
I'm
it's
just-
still like, it's why it's great you did it when you did it. That's why I'm jealous. Like I was right there on our doorstep.
Yeah. It was in hindsight, I can't believe I did it. I can't believe, because I just was so naive.
What did your parents think? Because this must have been even more foreign of an idea to them than it even was to you.
They were like terrified, because that just didn't occur to them that any child of theirs would want to do this. A lot of people, especially in the town that I grew up, weren't traveling abroad, and Myrtle Beach was our hot spot. So I think everyone's confused, like, why do you want to do this? And I think for my parents, they were more nervous because that was the year we went to war. The only country backing us up was Spain. And was it maybe England? But the people of Spain did not want to be any part of it, and basically would march against Americans like every weekend. And I would be like, I'm from Canada.
Yeah.
But they knew I was American and would just stare at me very
They're
angrily.
like, even we know
They're like,
that's
we
not
know.
a Canadian accent.
Yeah. We know. So the little old ladies would stare at me very angrily. So it was a tense time. I loved it. There were so many wonderful things, but it was also very weird. I had never been stared at in the way I was for that entire trip. That a year of just people glaring at me.
Did
And-
any of your family come over to visit you while you were there?
Yeah, my mom came and my brother Jay, and I said they came over Christmas, which was great because I was getting so homesick. This was back when if you wanted to communicate, you had to go to like an
Yes.
internet cafe
Uh-huh.
and pay for internet, which seems wild.
Josh got his passport and
You
wallet
did?
stolen at an
Yeah,
internet
in
cafe.
Rome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I also, though, anytime a hotel tries to charge me for internet, I call down and I tell the front desk I think it's tacky.
good.
Because
Josh.
it's there.
Yeah.
You know it's there.
It's
And
there.
they're
What
always
is-
like, we're gonna make a note that you thought it was tacky.
Yeah.
Josh was
I just
like, "You're
wanted to
trying to
know."
nickel and
Yeah.
dime me, and this water's $12."
No, the water, I get the water. The water
Yeah.
already cost $8 when they bought it in the store, but I'm buying my own water.
I hear
But
you.
anyhow,
So
so
internet should just be for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I was so homesick, so I was like pumped to see them. But I said to them, I said, "Listen, Europe is small. The Europeans are small. Cars are small. Hotels are small. Everything's small. We're large. We're big, fatty, fat Americans. Please, for the love of God, bring one bag. One bag. Because we're going to be traveling for like 3. They were coming for like 3 weeks. We were going to go to like start in Madrid and go to Portugal, go to the south of France. We're going to go all these places. I go, we're on the move. One bag. I show up to the airport in Madrid. They have 3 giant suitcases apiece. My brother has a sleeping bag with him. I'm like, it's Europe. It's Europe. They have beds. What's happening? I'm freaked. I don't even say hello. I'm not like, I miss you so much. I'm like, I told you one bag. And we barely got all of our bags into the cab. We're busting at the seams. The cab driver's losing his mind. I happened to know someone I had made friends with someone who lived in Madrid, and I was like, can I please keep 4 luggages in your apartment for 3 weeks? And so I made them like,
Yeah.
I made them leave bags, and we barely fit in the rental car even after that.
It's so
Wow.
funny when you're like, this is why they hate us.
Oh, yeah.
This is why.
Yeah, and I did realize we are loud.
Right.
I used to think, they're just sensitive over there. And then I would be at a restaurant. I'm like, these loud Americans, so annoying.
Yeah,
But
it is funny when you live in a place and you realize you don't want to be associated with the tourists from your home nation.
Mhm.
You're like, I'm a local now.
Yeah. And it was weird because at that language school, a lot of the European students would challenge me on like foreign policy because of the war. And I'd be like, I don't know. I gotta read a newspaper. It was a lot of pressure. I felt like I was repping my whole country at this
That's
tiny
no good.
language school. And I don't know if I rose to the occasion, but
I will
Was
say in
this
Amsterdam,
weird?
I feel like there was like that from 9/11 to the start of the Iraq War was like a real, like there was a glow where like everybody was almost like, hey, America, we got your
Mhm.
back.
yeah.
And then it was like, no, never
And it was
mind.
like, never mind.
We should have known this is what you were going to do.
Yeah. How long were you in Amsterdam for?
I was there for 2 years. Josh, you were
Oh,
there
wow.
longer.
I was there 3.5.
Dang, that's a long time.
And yeah. It was
Yeah.
right out of college. And there was nothing else going on for me. It didn't
Yeah.
seem like, and I had
We
that.
also, but there was also like a community of American comedians, right? So like there was
Oh,
less,
that's nice.
it wasn't like, I got to get out of here. It was
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
weirdly, almost like a false sense of security and career. But then,
But not
Ever-
at the same time?
We had a brief overlap.
brief
Okay.
overlap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget
Yeah.
how long you were there for.
6 months, I think.
Yeah,
About
something
6
like
months.
Oh, nice.
Have
Yeah,
you
it
ever
was really
gone?
nice.
Have you ever done stand up in Europe?
I have, yes. My first shows were pre-pandemic, I think 19. I did a week in London.
Oh, great.
And that was very eye-opening because I did the American comic thing where I did crowd work in the beginning. I was like, you guys are going to love this. You're going to see how quick I am on my feet. Get ready for this. And I did it, and then I got reviewed, which, we don't really get reviewed much in stand-up here in the States, unless it's maybe a special. And the reviewer was like, I loved your material. Crowd work, I could do without. And I got 3 stars because they hated the crowd work. They over there, they're like, we're here for you to talk to us. We're not part of this. So I learned very quickly, Americans, we all want to be part of all of it.
Yes, right. But British people, you're right. They're like, we paid for you to do it.
Exactly. So lesson learned. And then I was supposed to go back for this really big tour post-pandemic, but then my filming got pushed. It canceled that, but then I was able to finally get back, and I did Amsterdam, I did London, and then I did 5 cities in Australia.
Oh, that's great. Do you remember what theater in Amsterdam and what theater in London?
London was the Union Chapel. Really cool. It was like an old church that's now a theater. That was really cool. And Amsterdam, I could not tell you, but everyone warned me about Amsterdam. They were like, the crowd's not going to laugh. Mm-hmm. Just know they're going to be quiet. They're very polite people. It's going to feel very weird. You're going to think you're bombing. And a lot of people then do bomb because they think they're bombing.
Right.
I was like, thank you for the pep talk. This was from my opener, who was a local. And the crowd ended up being amazing. So because she kept naming all the comics who'd come and bombed. And I was like, this isn't helping.
I kind of like, though, I like knowing a place is hard because then any laugh you get is like wind under your wings. And you start thinking, maybe I'm the first one.
No one's broken this barrier.
Yeah. I always say, maybe you agree, Josh, I think Dutch people, they're not bad laughers. They just they laugh and then they immediately stop. There's no rolling laughs in Holland.
Yeah, it's like, agree,
ha! And they're just done.
Yeah, they're waiting for that next joke.
That's all. Yeah,
they almost
are
like, "What's next?" And so I always feel like if I have an hour and I do it in Amsterdam, I feel like it only takes me 48 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
It hasn't gone worse. It's just I think I had to just sort of move a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that probably helped you guys having experienced that early on with like just being more comfortable on stage.
I think Dutch. I think doing multiple years of Dutch audiences is pretty good. Yeah. It's like when Bruce Wayne was like, I'm going to go train for like 2 years someplace awful.
Basically, they're the reason y'all are successful. Thank you, Dutch people.
We have nothing but love for the Dutch. We're very happy with them.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors.
Support comes from Aura Frames. Hey, Pashi.
Yeah, Sufi.
Had mom and dad with the kids. For the life of us, cannot get a good picture of Addie with my parents.
What's she doing? Closing her eyes?
Always, just something. But the good news is, I feel like that used to be heartbreaking because they would want a picture they could take home with them. But now I'm like, look, you guys go home. Don't worry about it. You've got an Aura frame. I know how to upload pictures. And I promise that by the time you get home, there's going to be great pictures of Addie. And you're going to be able to look at them all day long while they sort of cycle through on this incredible device.
Yeah. Named the #1 digital photo frame by Wirecutter, Aura makes it effortless to upload unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone, so your favorite memories are always within view. Plus, you can personalize and preload an Aura frame for a truly special, unforgettable gift.
And needless to say, if you know anything about Josh and I, he, of course, was the one who sent this preloaded to my parents, but he was nice enough to explain to me how to do it, and so I can throw some in there every now and then. It's not just Josh and his beautiful bride. Sometimes my kids, and they're very happy to look at it. Plus, with smart photo cropping, Aura detects faces and other key details in a photo to make sure nothing gets left out.
I was just back in Mackenzie's hometown. Both of her parents have these frames. They have different photos loaded into them. So as you're sitting in their kitchen or in their living room, you can always glance over and there's a different picture sort of scrolling by. It's a great way to look through your pictures without having to swipe on your phone. They just sort of appear. And you could even have one in your bedroom, and if you're like, well, that's going to keep me up at night, it senses when you go to bed and turn out the lights, and that frame will turn itself off so you can get a perfect night's sleep, and when you wake up in the morning, there's your family again. There's your friends. There's your vacations. They're the best.
Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver Mat frames by using promo code TRIPS at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code TRIPS. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. Support comes from Blueland. Hey, Pashi.
Yes, Sufi.
I am very aware that we're going to create, as Americans, more waste during Christmas, during New Year's. But here's a way to feel a little bit better about it. Blueland. So Blueland is fantastic because
Absolutely.
they're on a mission to eliminate single-use plastic by reinventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet. I love this. It's very simple. You have a Forever bottle, you fill it with warm water, you drop in a tablet, and you just start cleaning. Instead of having a single-use bottle, and every time that's out, you throw away the bottle, that's more plastic that no one's ever going to use again, and you have to go back to the store. This is so much simpler.
Yeah, it's great. We are a full Blueland house over here. Everything from our toilet tablets to cleaning sprays to laundry tablets. It's all Blueland, and it all smells so nice, and it also is packaged up so well in either these reusable tins that we keep our tablets in or these bottles. And it's nice to not have to throw away these huge, big old clunky plastic containers every time you finish using some cleaning products.
And this is cleaning sprays, hand soap, toilet cleaner, laundry tablets. All Blueland products are made with ingredients you can feel good about. And now for a limited time, Blueland's hand soap is getting a festive upgrade. You love a festive upgrade, Pashi.
Always.
Beautiful chocolate box, inspired gift set, cozy scents, toasted vanilla, wintry pine, sweet chestnut. It's the perfect gift. Sweet chestnut, that's what I used to call you. It's the perfect gift for your loved one or yourself to reduce waste. Blueland is a special offer for our listeners right now. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/trips. You won't want to miss this. Blueland.com/trips for 15% off. Blueland.com/trips. 15% off.
Here we go.
Do you and your wife, are you guys travelers now?
Yeah, big time. I mean, as you know, like stand-up is, you're everywhere all the time.
Right.
So in the last, since things opened back up with the pandemic, I did 200 city tours back to back, 150 shows each.
Get out.
Yeah, with 2 seasons of FUBAR, in between, one in between
my
the first
God.
tour and one at the end of this last tour.
Jeez.
So I have
And does
been
she travel
on
with
the
you? Does she come with you everywhere?
the first, early on in our relationship, we've been together 10 years.
Yeah.
She was at every show all the time, but I wore her out. Like she, at the end of the first 100 of this 100 city tour, she is like, at the end of that, she's like, I can't do it anymore. And
Yeah.
so she's like, I used to love to travel. You made me hate traveling. I was like, oh no. So this last tour, she would come to, the big shows like Chicago Theater, the Beacon, not the Beacon, but like the places
Yeah.
like that. But then we do want to keep that love of traveling for fun. So we've gone to like Thailand and, obviously the European places, Paris, places in Italy. We've gone to Australia like 3 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we go to a lot. We've been to Bali, Maldives.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're
Do you have a
always
favorite?
fun.
What would you say? Do you, it's Jacqueline, right? Your wife?
Mhm.
Do you guys, what would you say was your favorite and what would you say is hers?
I think we would both probably say Thailand. We went, that might have been like 6 years ago, and we went to Chiang Mai, and we went to, I can't remember the island. It was amazing. I think because neither of us had been before. The people were so kind and lovely. It was a very safe country. The food was amazing. We went to an elephant reserve in the middle of the jungle where you pay to like basically help this. It's an organization that rescues elephants, and a lot of people in Thailand just elephants pass down through their family, and the person that gets it is like, I don't know how to take care of an elephant. And so, you're like just given a giant elephant that eats a lot. And
Such a terrible thing to inherit.
I know. So this amazing...
It must be so funny. At the will reading, you must be like, please don't
Please-
give me the
please
elephant.
don't.
Please don't give me the
I
elephant.
love the beach house. I'd love the beach house.
Give me the beach house.
And so these rescue organizations, they help these families take care of these elephants, and it's amazing. So we went to the middle of nowhere Thailand jungle, washing the elephants, feeding the elephants. It was so cool. It was
Did you actually get to feed an elephant?
yeah, put the little bananas in their mouth.
You get that close. You get a
Oh.
banana's length away.
Oh, I almost got trampled by 2 elephants.
Oh, here we go.
Don't worry, there's danger
You
involved.
buried the lead, yeah.
How
You're in
many elephants
danger.
are at this preserve?
Oh, like there were like 10 there, and we're just walking beside the elephants, and you do get this false sense of security, like you're at a
Mhm.
Disney World.
Right.
And then all of a sudden 2 more elephants just come down this hill, and I'm standing there at the bottom like, I'm about to get trampled by an elephant. and we just both like jump out of the way right before they come down to the road. So yeah, you just have to be more aware.
Alexi and I were on a safari in Kenya, and we were in like a Land Rover,
Mhm.
and a guy, like a real sort of rugged safari guy,
Yeah.
just one of those like guys who's so capable that you are also lured into a false sense of security.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we get like close to these elephants, and then they just turn on us and just start stampeding. And the guy like tries to start the car, and it doesn't start. And we watched his fear. As
Yeah.
he's like, uh-oh. And then
You're like,
you
no,
finally got it
from
going,
you.
but you were just like, and you just kind of like, you feel like it's when you got in it, it seemed like a
Yeah.
sturdy car, and now you're just seeing the elephants bearing down. And yeah, I mean, obviously, based on the fact that I'm talking, everything worked out all right.
You're
but,
all right.
I did not care for it.
That happened to me I took a random trip to Alaska with my, on a cruise.
Okay.
Great way to see Alaska. BT
Yeah.
dubs. And it was with my friend's family, and they invited me to come along, and they wanted to go fly fishing. And they're like, you want to fly fish? And I'm like, I guess. I've never done this. So it's like hardcore where you put the waders on, and they're like, we're going through like Alaskan wilderness. Like there's no cell phone tower for like an hour. And we had one of those same kind of guides, this, burly guy with a shotgun, and who's just like, of the woods. And we walked through the Alaskan woods, like, and it reminds me of that Nate Bargatze joke. He's like yelling, "Hey bear, hey bear." And I was like, is this what we're supposed to do? We're supposed to call for the bear? He's like, no, this tells him we're coming, and that scares him away. So we spend like 4 hours in the stream, all this salmon's everywhere. I mean, we're in the lunchroom of bears, just neck deep in water. And we somehow don't see a bear. We're coming back through the woods when we're done, get to the van, and the guide's face turns like white. And we're like, what? And he goes, I didn't have any ammo in my gun. And I just realized that. He goes, so if we had gotten into a situation, we would have all been dead. And we're like, cool.
Yeah. So we don't tip you, right?
It is a weird thing to give away at the end.
Yeah.
Like everything
we're all
goes-
free. What's happening?
I just want you guys to know, I know everything went smoothly, but I've been massively incompetent.
We almost died.
How was fly fishing? What's your take?
I liked it because, if you try to do it just in a regular stream, chances are you catching something first time, pretty slim to none. But in Alaska, I mean, you just be like, bloop, and it's like salmon, bloop, salmon. I was like, this is easy, but it really was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Do you know? You must know Brooks Wheelan.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Brooks just shot a great special in Alaska, and
really?
in the roll up, he went and did like tiny little towns in Alaska.
Yeah.
But he has a shot of him literally reaching his hand into the water and pulling out a salmon.
I believe it.
And it was the first time he tried it, and he said the worst part was nobody in Alaska, all the Alaskans were like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody thought it was cool or impressive. He's like, it's the first time, and they're like, yeah, but these are not. Come on.
They're literally everywhere.
It's like a grocery store.
Yeah. There's, they do that Fat Bear Week in Alaska. Yeah. During the pandemic, when we were all just like losing our minds and full of anxiety, I found out there's a bear cam in Alaska that you can just click on it and watch the bears, all the bears like eat in order to get fat to hibernate for the winter. And I stared at that thing every day, and I don't know how it calmed me in the midst of like all this tragedy around us. I'm just like, bears in Alaska eating salmon.
They're fine.
The world goes on.
Yeah.
They don't have to wear masks.
Yep.
There are two rattlesnake cams now as well.
Oh, really?
But that's a little creepier. I don't think you'd want to look at that for hours. But
they freak me out for sure.
Yeah.
Crushing It, your new special. Where did you shoot it?
Crushing It. Yeah, I shot it in Seattle.
Why did you pick? At which theater?
At the Moore.
Great. And why did you pick Seattle?
On my last tour, I did the Moore for the first time. I did 2 shows there, and first show was like the energy in that room was unbelievable, and I was like, this has to be an outlier. There's no way that a show's this good, that the energy's that good. Second show that night, same energy, same it's a big theater. It's like a 1,900 seat theater, but it's 3 stories, but it's like right on top of the stage. So all of that energy and laughter comes flying at you as a performer, which usually in those big theaters, it's so lost in the rafters, you don't feel it or hear it in the same way. And I clocked it then. I was like, this is where I'm doing my next special.
That's great. And did it pay off? Did you feel like you got that same energy when you did it? Oh,
yeah. They were amazing. Nice. It was just, because, doing these like 100 city tours, and if it goes well, all you want is for that special to reflect what you've been doing for the last year and a half. You're like, I just want it to go right. I don't want this one night to be like, oh, the tour is amazing, and then this one night really sucked. So you're just trying to bottle that thing you've been spending so much time doing, and it just feels like a lot of pressure. So I was really, really happy when I felt like it came across. Yeah.
I would feel like one of the risks of doing it 150 times is that thing of you can always remember the 10 best times a joke landed. And so I even find it like when I know I'm recording, like filming something, I'm like, okay, that was top 85th percentile. That's good. Okay. I was telling you, feel like that's gone better more than half of the times, but I'm so glad you got a good one. I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah. I'm very proud of this one. I wanted to do things a little differently. I wore a pink suit in this one.
All right.
Yeah. Because I have this podcast, Handsome, that I do where
right, of course,
with Tig Notaro, Mae Martin, and in our picture we're all in suits, and it's kind of just playing with the word handsome and what that means, and it's kind of for everybody, and it sort of inspired me to try to do something besides my typical bomber jacket.
That's fantastic.
I just want to swing to Tig real quick. Have you been to Tig's hometown of Pass Christian?
I have not. No.
Okay.
She talks about it a lot. Have you been?
I know. She was on her pod and she really sold us on it.
Yeah. We're desperate to go. And with all the cities that you've been to, I know. It's not. Yeah. It probably wouldn't be one of those cities, but close by. And I was just curious if you've made it down there.
She's very fond of it. It's in Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yeah. About like an hour from New Orleans, I think.
I'm sure it's amazing. They just don't have a comedy club.
Yeah. Look, if you want Fortune to stop by, you need a mic. Come on now.
Get paid. I'm not traveling for free. Come on now.
Is 100 city tour? Is it like a marathon for comics? Is it like because it seems like yes, it's a nice round number, but have they figured out over the years that like that's the breaking point and you can just get to that? And it's like
pass out.
Yeah.
I don't know how both tours ended up being that. It really wasn't what I planned to do. What I usually do is because I'm filming stuff too, I'm always like, it's so hard to plan a tour because you're like, I might be filming for 4 months at some point. Yeah. So what I usually do is I start with the first leg and plan that. And then from there, I keep adding. And then somehow both of these tours ended up being like I think the first one might have been 99 cities and this one was like 101. So
now, so you come out even.
Yeah.
Give us a city that we would be surprised by that you think is a great comedy town, like an off the radar.
Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Great. Perfect answer.
Yeah, I would not have guessed. I was asked to do a show there. I did Fayetteville first as a part of a Pride event, and then Eureka Springs, which is about an hour and a half for my own show, a little bit later. But at first I was like, gay in Arkansas, how's this going to go? You know? Yeah. Even though it was a Pride event, I thought, like, this is going to be a tiny little thing. We're going to be, like, in the corner of, some place in the woods that no one knows about. And I get to Fayetteville, and there's, it's Pride Month, so there's, like, Pride flags everywhere. It's a very cool city. I go to Bentonville, which has the hotel. So that's where Walmart started. That's their whole area. So I'm thinking.
They got a killer museum
in
Bentonville.
Museum's amazing. There's all these cool restaurants. It's like super cute. I was like, I would have never guessed in a million years that this would be this place in Arkansas. And those crowds were so good. And Eureka Springs out in the middle of the mountains. All these lesbians come off the mountain and come to this theater and are so pumped. I mean, that really surprised me.
That's fantastic. That's a heck of a way to see the country.
I'm surprised a lot, as a out gay woman. Yeah. I never truly know what to expect, but there are times where I sell more tickets in red states than I do in like San Francisco.
Right. Yeah. Do you think it's just the fact that there's an audience there and maybe less people take a chance to go down?
I think so. I think they just assume, well, that's not a place for me. And I'm just like, let's go everywhere. I want to tell my stories. I want to make people laugh. I have a lot of people in the audience that are like me, who think like me, but I have a lot of people in the audience who barely know a gay person. And
you're providing a service there as well, man.
I mean, I just think, that's the last bridge for us is comedy, because there's not a lot of other things that are bringing us together. So I love to do comedy in front of as many people as willing to come into that theater and sit down and allow themselves to have a good time.
Well, it's even on election night, like when you see a state like Mississippi and it's like 70% red, 30% of Mississippi is a ton of people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's a ton of people, and so even if it was, just people who,
Yeah.
So anyway, that's fantastic.
Listen, I'll get people saying, I don't like them gays, but that's a funny story. I'm like, cool.
Maybe rethink your opinion on
there's
them
a better
gays.
way to give a compliment.
All right, you gays aren't so bad after all. Okay. There you go.
Getting somewhere. Better.
Yeah.
Crushing It is going to be on Netflix December 3rd. And you're also doing a podcast with your wife, Sincerely Fortune. That's very exciting as well. How do you enjoy it?
Well, it's awesome, but now that I have Handsome, we've put that on hiatus.
Okay, gotcha.
She was like, I'm done talking. You're the stand up.
Okay,
Please
gotcha.
Don't make me do this anymore.
Done traveling, done talking.
I know.
All right, so
Handsome.
You can get your Fortune podcast fix on Handsome.
That's right.
And it's great to talk to you. Before you go, though, Josh has to ask you your questions that everybody on Family Trips gets asked.
Josh.
All right, here we go. You can only pick one of these. Is your ideal vacation relaxing, adventurous, or educational?
My Mine is relaxing all the way. I just went to Greece. We went to Santorini. I was by that pool with a cocktail in my hand, and I was like, do not make me do anything adventurous. I don't want to see a church. I don't want to climb a mountain. I don't want to snorkel.
No. I got a question.
Let me eat some feta cheese.
Santorini, poolside, what is Fortune's cocktail of choice?
They have this, like, it was a mango drink that was delicious. I'm an old-fashioned gal at night.
Yeah.
But during the day, it's Aperol Spritz or something fruity.
I agree. I also feel like in the summer, I also love an old-fashioned. It's a tough summer drink for me.
Yeah. You got to have a steak or something with it.
Yeah, fall to spring, I can do it, but in the summer. Negroni, I feel like a Negroni is not a bad.
It's a good one. That's why I'm Aperol Spritz.
Yeah, Spritz is, I no complaints with the Aperol Spritz.
The three of us can have an Aperol Spritz and hang by the pool, relaxing.
Great. We'll get the large feta to share. 3 Spritz.
That's right.
What is your favorite means of transportation? Train, plane, automobile, boat, bike? Something else?
Plane, just because it's the fastest way to get there. I'm so grateful I don't get like terrified of planes because I have to be on them all the time.
Yeah. Have you ever done tour bus? Have you done that?
I haven't done the tour bus.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys. But again, I think because I'm a Cancer, I like to be at home. I'm a homebody by nature.
Yeah.
So most of my tour, the reason why it's 1.5 to 2 years long is because I'm going Thursday through Sundays and then coming home.
Great. If you could take a vacation with any family, alive or dead, real or fictional, other than your own family, what family would you like to take a family vacation with?
Oh my gosh. What family? I guess just Oprah and Stedman and me.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Great pick.
Yeah,
great pick. I love, by the way, that you're like, and me. You're like, your wife can't come.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You did not invite her.
Wait, no, my wife can come too.
So funny that you're like, oh, she's like, am I coming? You're like, oh, I forgot to ask.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
God,
it probably would have been fine, but now it'd be weird.
It feels weird to
say
ask.
If I could have a +1, the chef is already preparing food for the 3 of us. It's probably fine.
If you had to be stranded on a desert island with one member of your family, who would it be?
I mean, we're all getting eaten by something at this point. If my family's like Jax's family, they're all handy, and we would have a home and everything built. And my family, I guess my brother Jay, because was in the Coast Guard for a long time.
So that's something. Yeah. Some nautical skills.
He'll do something. Yeah, he'll go fish.
You're from Belmont, North Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
Would you recommend Belmont as a vacation destination?
I actually do really love my hometown. When I was growing up, it was so boring. I could not wait to get out of there. But something happened when I went to college. My whole town that was sleepy, like we didn't even have a nice restaurant because there was no alcohol allowed to be sold. And so no nice restaurant would come because most of their sales are through alcohol. And when I was in college, they passed, it's called Liquor by the Drink. And my mom was on the forefront of getting this passed. She helped volunteer. They were even shuttling students from Belmont Abbey College to go vote. She's like, we're getting liquor in this town. And I will say, weirdly enough, it saved my town. These restaurants came. It started becoming this cute place, this destination place. I mean, it was, when I tell you, it was like dying, dead, sleepy town, nothing there. And now it's this vibrant place. Like all these people from Charlotte keep moving there. It's actually growing too fast, and I'm like, y'all need to simmer down. There's one lane in and out of here. But yeah, it's a great place to visit.
And then Seth has our final questions.
Fortune, have you been to the Grand Canyon?
I have been to the Grand Canyon. I went when I moved to Los Angeles. I drove cross country, and my mom went with me. And we were broke. I had a $250 credit card. She, again, was a teacher, so she had no money. So
what did she teach, by the way?
Special education.
Okay, gotcha.
For 30 years. And so we were going to the sites, that were, I think it maybe cost $20 or something to go up there. And we're like, why not? It's, it's a destination. It's part of our one of the things we're most proud of in our country. This is my mom. I'm like, all right. So we trek up this hill and we get up there and we take like 3 pictures. We buy a book called Deaths in the Grand Canyon. And that's it. And like, that was it. And I was like,
so
all
worth
right.
it? Would you say worth it?
I mean, I'm glad I've seen it.
Okay.
Because I feel like it is one of those like things you need to just say. Like I saw it. It's great. Like I'm sure that's how people feel about like Mount Rushmore. Like I've never seen it, but you're like I saw it. But like
Right.
I don't know. You
You
know,
might need to update that book because
there's
been
been
a lot
more.
more since you've been. Yeah.
I did get up on a ledge to take a picture, and my mom was like, "Do not do that." And then she bought the Deaths in the Grand Canyon. She's like, "I told you. Look at all these people in this book who have died." None. I'll tell you that if I had died taking that picture, that would not have been worth it.
right. Yeah.
Because
Fair.
when you get these pictures, you're like, it's fine.
Right. Yeah.
It's brown.
It's a brown backdrop. If you did your special and that was the cover of the curtain, you'd be like, no.
Yeah. Brown is not my color. So
Well, it's that's great feedback on the canyon.
yeah.
It is a delight to see you as always, and thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank
And
you
congrats.
guys.
Yeah,
Thank you,
congrats
Josh.
on
Thank you,
crushing it.
Seth.
Looking forward to it.
I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to talk with you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I'm part of the family now, right?
You are,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Once
yeah.
you're
You
in,
gotta-
you're in.
You don't have a +1 though. So
Oh, no.
Let Jacqueline know.
You didn't
I gotta
ask.
tell
You
my
didn't ask.
wife. I gotta tell my wife.
Nah, bring her along.
Family trips with the Meyers Brothers.